Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to the Cutting Edge Install podcast brought to you by Omni Cubed, where innovation meets installation and, like I always say, could possibly be everything in between. Who knows what today will bring forth? But I'm your host, Merv Campbell, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us. What's this podcast all about? Well, it's celebrating. It's 2026. It's a time to celebrate pros. It's a time to celebrate experts and game changers. And we've got a game changer on today. We're going to dive into stories. We're going to hopefully make it as lighthearted as we possibly can. And we're going to have fun. And as an Irishman, I know how to have fun. And I hope Greg will come along with me for this experience. We shall see. Anyways, we shall see. So whether you're on the road, whether you're on the job, or you're just looking to stay sharp, you are in the right place. So let's get cracking. Greg, pleasure to have you on the show. And before we delve into anything sort of big industry, you know, all that's going on, everything else, tell us a bit about yourself. If someone was to meet you outside of work, how would you introduce yourself? And what drives you day to day?
Yeah, like a pretty simple guy, family guy, married a long time, 2 adult kids. I'm a dog guy. I've got 2 Australian Shepherds, and so
Nice.
I like to get out with them, and they
Good.
keep me active. And you know, if it's not vacuuming up the hair, it's just running around outside and having a good time with them.
Yes.
And I'm a bit of a handyman around the house. I'm always doing something. My wife has
Nice.
got a bit of an interior design flair, so she'll have an idea, and I'll get put to work to do that. And I
Awesome.
really enjoy that. So
That's cool. Good man.
yeah.
So what is your sort of origin story? How did some chance encounter in the 90s kind of shape where you are today? And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I started off as working as a general contractor, working, with that, doing hockey arenas and pre-eng buildings and stuff. And I was asked to go visit another GC who was a bigger customer
Uh-huh.
and explain some of the subcontract work we were looking at doing with them. And in
Yeah.
that conversation, myself and that gentleman had a really good back and forth. And he said to me, if I'm ever looking for a new opportunity, to let him know.
Uh-huh.
And a couple years later, I wasn't just looking, but I needed a new opportunity.
Yeah.
And I rang him up, and I was able to, with good timing, get a job as a site superintendent for him on a retirement home.
Nice.
And from there, worked through that job. And when it started to get near the end, I started asking about other opportunities, and I was told that there was a company here in Toronto that
Uh-huh.
was looking for a project manager for a glass job at
Uh-huh.
the Toronto Airport.
Wow.
And to me, that glass, like, that was it. I didn't know anything about glass. I was
Uh-huh.
28, 29,
Yeah.
and was given the title of project manager for a $14 million interior install
Whoa.
at the airport.
Nice.
And it was 6,000 feet of balustrade, 4,000 feet of smoke baffle,
Wow.
glass bridges, interior airside corridor partitions, the whole gamut.
Yeah.
Digitally printed glass, curved glass, like just everything.
Yeah.
And I was hooked. Like,
Uh-huh.
I was immersed so quickly in all the different things that you can do in glass.
Yeah.
And, now, well over 25 years later, I'm still geeking out about the new things you can do in
That's
glass.
so cool.
And the opportunities that I've had since then have been, big jobs, small jobs, residential jobs, like glass staircases. I was fortunate enough to be involved in the SoFi Stadium, the structural glass walls at the
Wow.
SoFi Stadium.
Uh-huh.
And so it's taken me to different companies and different opportunities, but
Wow.
it's just, glass is one of the coolest products out there.
It is. It so
I
is.
think.
It really, it's impressive when you take a step back, and it's ironic that it comes up again. In other podcasts, we've talked about, take a step back and just admire the beauty and one guy said, we're trying to make something visible yet make it invisible. But it takes a keen eye to see it and appreciate it. And it's so true. But you kind of talk a little bit there about, you still geek out about it, and it's still like, it's inspiring and it's exciting, but there's a dearth that's happening at the minute, with the decline of numbers coming into like
Yes.
skilled trades, with sort of that disconnect around like working hard and having value in what you do. And in your opinion, why do you think there's fewer people entering the trades today?
Well, I guess from my personal experience, I think there was kind of a general lack of encouragement from
Uh-huh.
families and from educators about not aspiring to go to university or college. And anything less than that was not good enough.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
like, like I can remember as something that sticks out when I was graduated high school and I went back to the school to pick my sister up, and I ran into
Uh-huh.
a grade 12 geography teacher, and I
Yes.
told him I was going to college for construction.
Uh-huh.
And he kind of cynically looked at me and said, "Well, there's not much work in that, is there?" And so it was that kind of,
Mm.
you know, repeated, kind of stigma that I think,
Yeah.
personally affected me. And then I think personally
Uh-huh.
affected a lot of people,
Yeah.
um, because it's that kind of, like when you talk about that origin story, when you're in
Mm-hmm.
your formative years and you're looking
Yeah.
ahead at what you want to do, and you hear these negative perceptions about
Yeah.
people on the trades and how, you know they're not home, they can't do this, they have a bad,
Mm-hmm.
bad work environment and all that kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
there's truth to that, but
Yeah.
nowadays there's truth to that in any industry that you get into,
Correct.
any vacation that you take.
Totally.
So I think that, kind of to summarize it, would just be kind of that there's not enough encouragement, there's not
Mm-hmm.
enough understanding of what it is,
Yeah.
and there's not
Totally.
enough understanding of the good life that you can get out of it,
That's the thing.
right?
People
And the
people have this.
opportunities that it can bring you.
Yeah, they have this mentality of, you need to go to college, you need to do, all these different degrees and yada yada yada. And yeah, that's for some that's great. But I have a 14-year-old son, and I'm pushing him, not not forcefully, but gentle reminders to encourage that, I've made a living out of it and provided well for his mother and his siblings, and he can too. And I think there's a mindset and a connotation, and that's like my next question. Where sadly, in our day, people don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to work hard. They don't
Yeah.
like if there's a bead of sweat coming down their brow. They're like, "This is not the job for me. This is too much." How do we shift that mindset? And like, you're slightly older than I am. Is there any words of encouragement you could give me that I could give to my son in regards to like, getting that stigma out of there?
I don't know. Like, I think that one of the things is just simply like make it okay, right?
Yeah.
Make
Hmm.
getting your hands dirty okay.
Yeah.
And like the one thing that I saw, and I'll probably get the time right, but it was about a year ago, was there was something on social media and the news about a coal miner who went to a basketball game with his son, and he
Yes.
had just come from the mine, and he was
Uh-huh.
covered in black, and he was at the basketball game, a college or an NBA basketball game.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the article was they made it positive. They talked about how this man had worked a whole day shift and rushed home and grabbed his son, and they went to a game so they could enjoy that as a father and son. And he had,
Correct. Yep.
he was so quickly doing that that he didn't even have time to properly clean up. And the
Hmm.
fact that that was okay,
Yep.
he came from his job. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is just it's okay.
Yeah.
you know
Totally.
like I
Yeah.
can
There's.
remember when I was very young in grade 5 or 6, and they had that kind of career day kind of conversation, and I don't know why it
Yeah.
sticks with me, but I remember that there was one of my classmates, and she said, what do you, the teacher said to him, "What do you want to do?" And he said,
Yep.
"I just don't want to get my hands dirty." And she
Oh, the
said to him, "Well,
proverbial answer.
but what do you mean by that?" And
Yeah.
his dad was a mechanic,
Uh-huh.
And his dad would come home every night and he'd have dirty, greasy hands.
Yep.
And that became a negative connotation in him. Instead of respecting and understand the work that his dad did, he just
Correct.
looked at the fact that his dad
Mm-hmm.
came home a little bit banged up.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's
Exactly.
what
That
we're
put
called to
food on his
do.
table. That put clothes on his
Exactly.
back.
We
That
are
provided
called
for him.
to work. Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. But so how do you think like influencers like Mike Rowe have impacted the public perception of blue collar worker? And like in your opinion, is it enough?
I don't think it's ever enough, but I think
Yeah.
what he's done is really interesting because he's used a platform that he has to reach a really large audience. And
Yeah.
he's used his humor and charisma to kind of get it across. And you can watch his shows, the dirty job shows,
Yeah.
and you'll laugh and be entertained and you'll learn
Yeah.
something. You'll
It's
see
funny.
see what they're doing exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but I think just more recognition of the value and rewards of the blue collar jobs
Mm-hmm.
are needed. Like there's a, I don't know, I guess an apparel company out there, and they have the dirty hands, clean money. You
Mm-hmm.
can get a baseball hat that says that,
Yeah.
or
It
shirts
says
that
it.
say that, and stuff
Totally.
like that.
Yep.
And that kind of thing. I just think that, and right now, Mike Rowe is spending a lot of time giving speeches and talking to
Mm-hmm.
levels of government and trying to get
Yeah.
everything. And so that needs to be
Totally.
accepted and appreciated more
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
we don't have that many voices like him.
Nope.
And so, we need to really applaud him and help support his cause because it's good for
Correct.
everybody, right?
Yep. Well, we've mentioned sort of generational differences in how we look at things and how you know how one like my guys I grew up with, grafters, hard workers, young people growing up now, all they want to do is play Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart and be experts at it. And you're like, well, that doesn't put bread on the table. But there are differences in how we learn and how we communicate. I totally understand that. But what have you found to be the most effective way when it comes to like sort of mentoring, young employees or young people coming in?
I think you have to get them involved and not
Mm-hmm.
allow them to be bystanders.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of go through the process of telling them what to do, showing them what to do, and then having them do it and kind
Yeah.
of touch all those different steps because it goes
Mm-hmm.
back, in my opinion, to how people learn, because a lot of people are visual learners versus auditory
Correct.
learners. And so you kind
Yep.
of touch all that off.
Uh-huh.
And so you have to do that, tell, show, and do, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have to repeat it.
Yep.
And you have to have patience as you go through all that and kind
Correct.
of understand it. And some of the younger employees are going to be scared. And so you have to be a little bit paternal and kind of break that away without
Mm-hmm.
being condescending.
Yeah.
But it's patience and get them involved
Yeah.
is really a big thing.
Yeah.
We've noticed that the old school pick up the phone and call the person
Mm-hmm.
is something that the younger generation has struggled with a little bit because
Correct.
they're used to being behind a phone, keyboard, and stuff
Yep.
like
Yep.
that. But the quickest way to get to the result is
Mm-hmm.
a phone call, or even better, a face-to-face.
Totally.
And so I encourage that quite a bit. But the way I encourage that is say, well, let's get on the phone together.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it together, and we'll stick
Yep.
handle this. You be the technical aspect of the call because you're dealing with the situation, and I'll
Uh-huh.
handle kind of the back and forth
Yeah.
and repeat.
Yep.
And then all
Yep.
of a sudden they'll do it themselves.
Uh-huh.
So
And then they'll feel it's funny when you train them and they do it. There's a sense of accomplishment when they do it. And then there's that fear factor, very quickly diminishes. And then suddenly they're very proficient on the phone. I have one person in our work right now who, was scared of the phone, didn't want to call people, didn't want to answer the phone when people called. And we basically said, sorry, sink or swim.
Yeah.
And now we actually have to tell him, okay, end the conversation, buddy. You've got like 20 other things to do. You're not just
Right.
shooting the breeze on the phone with customers. But it took time, it took patience,
Yeah.
but it also took a little bit of, no, you actually can do it. It's the fact that you don't really want to do it. And it's okay. You'll get there, because all we see is like, hunched over top of their heads. They're behind the phone. They're behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
And they're afraid. They won't admit it, but they actually are. And so you just have to be like, listen, you'll be okay. Everything will be grand. We'll figure it out. So that's funny. But like, we're teaching them, we're pouring into them. But do you feel there's anything that like us, I hate to say the word older, I'm going to say the word more mature folk could learn from them, and maybe, take on ourselves?
Well, I think that they're obviously embracing technology a lot more than we are. That's a pretty easy statement to say, and most people would agree with. But I think just in general, embracing technology and how it works. I remember I was on a job site and we were doing a huge excavation, and the site superintendent had rented a total station. And so, from a surveying point of view, when you set up a total station on a big job site like that, you can pinpoint the center line of columns very easily, right? Because you square off a grid, and the surveyor will give you an Excel sheet that you can reference it from. And so I was down in the trenches with the foreman, and the site super is up on a hill 150 feet away from us, 50 feet elevated, and he's matching us out at 8-meter increments. And the old school foreman was just like, "There's no way this is right." Blah blah blah. Once four-letter words. And so we string lined it, and it was dead straight over about 100 feet. And then we measured it out, and they were bang, bang on.
Wow.
And so it was, Brian, who was the foreman, he wanted to go back to the batter boards where you string line it and drop a plumb bob.
Yep.
But based on the size of the site and all these other reasons, it was going to be really difficult. And so the smile, the smirk that he had actually after we checked all that, and I could see the toothy grin from the site superintendent up on the hill after he realized what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just kind of everything, is just kind of embrace the technology for us older people, because it does save time. It does make more accuracy. And sometimes you need the younger generation, or most of the times, to kind of explain it to you.
Yeah.
But once you embrace that and then apply some old school work ethic, you have a really good combination.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, you really do. You really do. Yeah, it's don't be afraid either way. Both parties embrace and teach.
Absolutely.
So cool. Yeah. So there's an old phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, though often better than master of one. It's a good philosophy. I don't know if I'm jack of all trades, but I'm a bit like you. I like to do handiwork around my home. I wouldn't say it's to, professional standards, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than professional standards. But how does that sort of philosophy show up in your work or in your leadership?
Well, for me, what was interesting about that was I only understood the first part of the sentence. Like when I was a kid and I was growing up, it was just master of none. And it almost has a bit of a negative connotation when you just have that first part of the sentence. And when you actually understand it, listen to the whole thing, and, better than a master of one, it kind of talks about the multifaceted, and how if you can do a whole bunch of different things, certainly now it makes you more versatile for the company.
Yeah.
And but for me, for how I incorporate that now is when I see that happening, when I see people getting outside of that not my job philosophy, I just make huge positive examples of it with the guys.
Yeah, totally.
We have in our fabrication shop, we have guys that are essentially going to be working at the polishing machines. But when they have a breakdown, or when they have downtime, or when they have, extra staff, when they go out and do something else, it makes a huge difference. And so I just learn how to do anything that's in front of you, because the rewards come.
Yeah.
Like when I was young, I had my truck driving license. I could drive excavators. I could do all these different things. And it was just because someone said, "Hey, do you want to do this?"
Yep. Do you want to have a go at it? For sure.
Up,
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, don't ever say no. And that's so hard when things are busy and booming. But when there is slow time and downtime, we always say, like around here, every day should be a school day. Learn something, grow into something. We have quite a small workforce here, but we can all wear multiple hats, which is cool. So like, if the person who normally does the shipping and receiving decides to go on vacation, well, one of us just fairly quickly just streamlines into that, and there's no hiccups, there's no issues.
Sure.
Customers aren't going, I didn't take a vacation. Where's my stuff? So
Exactly.
like young people, I would encourage you, think outside the box, get outside the box, and learn outside the box. Your job title that you're given is, it's just a title. Just learn everything you possibly can. And it makes you an important piece of a very big cog.
Well, exactly. We were talking about cross training a little while ago, and had a little bit of downtime in one area, and they were talking about cross training. And I said to the guys, I said, the way I look at cross training is it makes that individual more versatile for the full company.
100%.
But it's at the same time not a make work project, right? And so you have opportunities throughout the busy times to cross train and do more things.
Yes.
And take advantage of it then when things do get slow and tighter, makes you more valuable than the people that stay in their lane.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's so true. Kind of a little bit about that versatility. A lot of people nowadays want to be like a specialist in something. In your opinion, do you think that people need to be more versatile? Or we kind of already answered it, but when people go for a job, it's like, it's something specialist. But in your opinion, should there be a wider look for that person as they're like looking for work or even in a job?
I think that being versatile is important. I understand the specialty, especially if that has a lot of training along behind it. And so you could say, well, I have this much training, this much schooling, etc. And so in order to benefit from that, I have to specialize. But, if you kind of broaden that kind of conversation up to companies, at a time like this, when the economy is tighter, the specialized companies are, in my opinion, the ones that are going to be more constrained, because if your specialty is something that is more of a soft cost than a hard cost, and or more of a high end product versus a medium middle of the road product, it's going to be harder for you. And so, and it's very hard to pivot or be more diversified when things are slow.
Yeah.
Right. So I use the example, of like a structural glass, the high span cable walls, those type of things. When the economy gets tight, those are one of the things that get value engineered out, because they're looking for, getting the most out of that square foot cost of rent and built. So I think that being versatile is important. I do think it's important. And even if it's within the specialty, you can still be versatile within the specialty.
That's the key part. A lot of people will sit behind one desk and be quite content. You should, if you're listening to this, I would encourage you to push yourself as much as you can, learn as much as you can. And we've also learned that diversifying and kind of, looking at things in different areas. Like, for instance, we've been in stone for 20 plus years, and we're just getting into the glass section. But guess what? The two are very similar. It's heavy, it's awkward, it can break very easily, and so it needs to be transported, installed, everything more or less the same. A few tweaks. But diversifying into glass means that now me and a few others have to learn a whole different language. Which has been, I'll admit, has been quite challenging, because it's like you got to turn one part of your brain off and turn one part on in various conversations. But it's actually been awesome to realize that in the two spheres, like glass and stone, the overlapping is a lot there. The even the camaraderie that we see between like glazers and installers and stone,
Yeah,
same type of thing. And so even that diversifying has helped us and pushed us and made us grow as a company where, 5 years ago, we didn't think of glass. We didn't even look
sure.
at it. We were like, yep,
Yeah,
we're just nose to the grindstone and stone. What do we
yeah,
do? And then now, okay, there's glass, there's stone. Well, aren't these large format tiles that they're coming out with very similar again? So there's another avenue that you've got to, it's constantly looking for ways to improve, do better. And like for us, it's how do we keep installers, fabricators, tilers safe and kind of have some pretty cool tools to do it, to be quite honest.
yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty awesome. So it's
Yeah.
really, it's cool to see.
Well, and from an installation point of view, your labor is your biggest one uh, denominator, and
Yep,
it's in some cases your most uncontrollable one.
exactly.
So it's so important to give the tools for efficiency and safety,
Yeah,
so that productivity and job completion
can
is
keep
done.
moving.
Yeah,
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 awesome.
yeah, yeah,
Obviously, the days that we live in, they're obviously, trust is a big word in the industry at the minute. Trying to build that and maintain it and everything else. What are some, in your opinion, some sort of key traits that have helped you like build that trust, maintain that trust, and just have that credibility over what's been a pretty lengthy time in the industry?
Well, I think it's pretty simple, and I've said this a bunch of times when I'm kind of passing this kind of information on is say what you're going to do and then
Mm,
do what you say you're going to do.
mm,
And when you can't do that, communicate what the changes are going to be.
yeah.
Because really, everything that we're doing is some form of customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And individually, all we have is our integrity. So
Yep.
if we can't tell somebody we're going to do something and then
Mm-hmm.
follow through with it, we're going to lose that trust and back and
Yeah.
forth. And then that's going
Totally.
to follow down with them. And
Mm-hmm.
there's several companies out there that use some sort of a tagline of we're just a company that does this, but we're really a customer service company, or we're a customer service company that provides this.
Yeah.
And it sometimes it sounds a little bit hokey, but it's not wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not wrong because we produce glass here, but at the end of the day, what's important to our customer is not how we did the glass, but
Mm-hmm.
did it they get it on time
Correct.
and correct.
Yeah.
And that's just that level of customer service. And as the technology changes, some of the companies that have been around for quite a while
Uh-huh.
have a lot of learning and changing to do,
Yeah.
just as far as how to keep customers informed on what's going on and
Yeah.
how do we input stuff. Because sometimes when people say, well, I'd like to do it how we did it in the old days,
Uh-huh.
but it's not that simple.
No.
It's we fax machines and the telegraph and all those kind of things, it's not there anymore. And
No,
so
it's
you need
not.
you know a lot of stuff requires instant gratification.
Yeah.
People will send an email and call you before you've had a chance to see the email. They
Even
want
read the
the
darn
answer now.
thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Totally. I
yeah.
always joke with people about, your internet, and they're constantly like, oh, you could gain so many megabits per second, and you're going, I've already had 100. Like, how fast can this darn thing be? Like when I press the button, it's instant. Like, how quicker does it get? And yet people have that mentality of, you've placed the order. Well, where is it? Well,
Yeah.
that was like 2 minutes ago. Geesh, give me a second to breathe here. And but
Well,
that's the world we live in. It's instant gratification. And if it's not instant, then we're not doing a good job. And it's like trying to pay for people to learn that. We're not Amazon. Okay.
exactly. And I think that we have to also remember how quickly everything has evolved.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm 52 and we had fax machines when I first started. Cell phones
Mm-hmm.
were not really a thing when I first
Yeah.
started.
Yep.
And then they were the briefcase that you carried
Yep.
on. And
Uh-huh.
or if you were lucky enough, you had your horn would honk on your truck when the phone rang, so you could
There
get down
you,
off the ladder and get the
you would
call.
hear it. Yep.
And you'd go to download 50 megabytes of a file, and it would take 2 hours.
Yeah. You'd be like, okay, here we go.
This morning, I downloaded 600 megabytes, and it took 2 minutes.
There you go. See?
Right. And so things have changed very, very quickly over the last
Yeah,
25 years.
they
And
have.
some of that we just need to appreciate.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. Good stuff.
So,
So if you could get in a DeLorean and you could kind of go back in time and you could speak to yourself many years ago, is there a lesson that you've learned kind of throughout your career that you wished you had known kind of early on when you began?
it's kind of an easy answer because I still say it to this day, and it's not take stuff personally.
Yeah.
And and I mean that in as much as if I received criticism
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was unfair, I'd be upset because I thought it was unfair, not
Yeah.
actually kind of dissecting what was the criticism, where did it come from? And if I think
Mm-hmm.
it's unfair, how do we kind of have a respectful conversation about that?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I used to get feedback on that would what I would take personally would be the you're not calling the customer back.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get frustrated because I'm like, I have called them back. But then I would start to realize that I have called the customer back,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't told them what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And so they would tell my supervisor or whoever I was working for,
Yeah.
oh, Greg's not getting back to me.
Uh-huh.
But then once I was able to kind of put the passion and the personal aside and ask more questions, I
Uh-huh.
could find out, well, they were asking me about a delivery and
Uh-huh.
I wasn't provided the information.
Yeah.
And so their feedback to my boss would be Greg's not getting back to me. And so then I
Yeah.
started to dissect it, and a lot of the times it was as simple as that. And
Uh-huh.
but by not taking it personally and taking a breath and kind of
Yeah.
asking questions and walking through it continues to allow me to get to the root of the question or the problem or the challenge.
Yeah.
And and you know, I've heard a couple times, and I use it in a joking manner. Is um, we don't have a problem; we have an opportunity to make something right for a customer,
Mm.
and that kind of thing. It's only a problem if we let it be a problem, but we
Yeah.
can take this
Yep.
and make it right for the customer. So
Totally.
but yeah, definitely not taking stuff personally, and I on a lot of that wear my heart on my sleeve, and so it was always really a struggle for me
Mm-hmm.
to not just get bent out of
Yeah.
shape.
Yep.
Um, but it took asking questions to kind of find out what was going on.
Yep.
And I had one manager say to me once, "I know you can take it, so I just like to shake the branches once in a while
Oh
and see
my
what's going to
word.
fall out of the tree."
Oh man.
But that's kind of some of the management styles that
Yep.
we
You've
deal
worked
with.
through. Totally. Absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
Kind of today, it's 2026. The glazing industry's changed a lot over the years, but is there anything that you think that the trade needs more of right now? Whether that's help, encouragement, fill in the blank.
I think that it's just skill, like skilled
Okay.
workers on the tools and in the office, right? Like
Uh-huh.
we're faced with like like a lot of young people not wanting to get into the trades. And
Yeah.
like my son's 26 and my daughter's 22, and they have some of their friends in the group that are getting into the trades. One of them's a bricklayer, one of them's a
Uh-huh.
carpenter, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I actually want to just call them up and talk to them and tell them
Yeah.
about how
Yep.
exciting the opportunities are and
That's
stuff like
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
But I think that is really what's hurting us, and it goes right back from 30 years ago when someone was looking to be an apprentice for a smaller glazer or a
Uh-huh.
smaller carpenter. They were faced with the cost constraints and say, I'd like
Yep.
to hire you as an apprentice. but I can't
Right.
afford to pay you as an apprentice. I can pay you as a
Yep.
general laborer.
Yeah.
And so then you had the option to say, well, I'm going to be his general laborer. I'm going to keep
Uh-huh.
my eyes open and my ears open, and I'm going to ask
Yep.
questions
Yeah.
and pull what I can from him, whether he
Mm-hmm.
likes it or not.
Yep.
And so it kind of goes through that, and it goes to even right now where, the 50 somethings or 60 somethings, us, we're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, if I explain how to do everything to this 30-year-old, this 25-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
year old, am I going to affect my job security?
Yep.
Right. And so I've seen that in different instances as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so, kind of on that note, we just all got to get over ourselves.
Yeah,
If we're doing
absolutely.
a good job, we're going to have a place in the industry.
Correct.
And if we're developing ourselves as a good coach and mentor, we're going to make ourselves
Mm-hmm.
even more important and open
Yeah.
another opportunity for us. But I think certainly what we see is just more skill and more training. Um,
Correct.
we have estimators calling us, and they don't really understand what they're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
and so, but it's a lot of that is baptism by fire, like you talked about
Yep.
for your
Yep.
your
My
calling,
kiddo.
sink or
Yep. Sink or
swim, right?
swim. Sink or swim. Yeah.
So
My boss, I'll never forget. We were in a meeting one day and I was, apprehensive about taking a vacation because I was like, how's things going to go and yada, yada, yada. And his note to me was that this place, Omni Cubed, should run better when you're on vacation than when you're here. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? Huh? And I was like, what? And he could kind of tell in like my puzzled look.
yeah,
And he says, like, for him, he's able to tell how good of a job I'm doing when I'm not here.
yeah,
And
well
that
said,
that
well said.
that like was like revolutionary to me, where it was like, oh, actually, it makes sense, because if I'm gone, they have to make decisions themselves. They
Yep.
have to step up to the plate. Someone has to, move and shake. And you talk about just liberating and being like just a breath of fresh air to be like, okay, this is cool. You can actually go on vacation and not worry, like, is everything okay? What's happening?
Yeah.
And it means the rest of the year you're pouring into your team and you're training and you're equipping and you're helping, and it's building them up. And I think people have this fear of, well, if I tell Jimmy down the hall how to do my job, am I going to be let go? Well, if you do a stinky job, maybe. But if you're also versatile and can do multiple jobs, no, that goes back to what we said at the start. It's like
Yeah.
learn and grow. It's so important. So yeah, no, that was one for me that has stuck with me the last sort of 10 years of my life, where when I leave this place on vacation, it's going to run better than when I'm here. And then you come back and you go, wait, am I the problem? Oh dear. So you gotta not take it personal and just
Yeah.
get on with stuff. Oh, hilarious. Good
Well, it's
stuff.
really interesting because a lot of things that I say quite often is we need a process for that, right? Because
Yep.
if we're going through a manufacturing item and
Uh-huh.
we're struggling with it,
Yeah.
we we have to kind of eliminate things. And so, have we properly trained the staff? Do we
Yep.
have the right equipment? Is there equipment in good
Mm-hmm.
repair, et cetera, et
Yep.
cetera? And then you
Totally.
put a process together for that. So if you still have
Mm-hmm.
a failure, you're not blaming the individual item. You're blaming the
Yep.
process because we've done
Correct.
everything else.
Yep.
And when I was that first job that I had, where I went and met that gentleman,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave me the job as a site superintendent, he said to me, just so you understand our relationship, my job is to give you everything that you need,
Mm-hmm.
the labor that you need, the material that you need, the
Mm-hmm.
computers, the truck, the equipment, the et cetera, all the
Yeah.
drawings, all the information, everything that you need, and literally everything that you ask for. My
Mm-hmm.
job is to give it to you,
Yep.
so that if you make a mistake, it's your
Mm-hmm.
fault.
Yep.
And I was like, wow,
Yep.
when he said that to me, but he put it together, and he
Yeah.
was, a little bit of a smirk on his face, but he was deadly serious. He was like,
Totally.
this is what I have to do. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you still have an issue, it's not on me.
Yeah.
You can't come back to me and say I didn't this and didn't that,
I didn't this, that, or the other. Yep.
right?
Which
So
puts the onus on both parties, which
yeah, it
is
makes it
good.
clear.
It's
Yeah,
ownership for both, where it's
absolutely.
like, hey, this I have to step up to the mark. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we're obviously learning and growing, and times are changing. But for you yourself, what's something you're learning in these days?
I think that I'm always going to be learning patience,
Mm-hmm.
and and I was told a while ago, like quite a while ago, in a joking manner, is and she said, "I've realized something about you." And it was a client of mine, and we'd worked together for back and forth. And I said, "Well, what's that?" And she said, "You have a problem with stupid." And she gave me this bumper sticker,
Uh
and it
huh.
said, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were an idiot." And she gave it to me as a joke. And she said it was an endearing quality of mine
Oh my
because
word.
she could see on my face when something happened that
Uh
was,
huh.
so sideways, that you'd be struggling with relating it. And so it was the patience out of that conversation, the patience,
Yeah.
of demands that are unfair from customers,
Uh huh.
the patient to understand the employee needs and the equipment
Yes.
needs, and kind of just taking a breath and kind of not reacting.
Uh
And
huh.
I've actually had people say to me that, um, I wish you'd react more. And I said, you don't want me to do that
Yeah, you don't
because
want
I need
that.
to process and
Yeah.
be patient and calmly think about it. Because
Yep.
if the hockey coach in me comes out, there's
Oh
going to be a
boy.
lot of yelling and screaming, right? So
Yep. Yep.
I think that I'll always be working on patience.
Mm-hmm.
And I have some colleagues here who have kids that are 5 and 6, and
Uh-huh.
I say, oh my goodness, I can't believe what a parent has to go through
It's
with a
to go
five and
through.
six year old.
Yep.
Now that my kids are older, and I'm like, I don't know where I had the time to do that with hockey
Exactly.
and all the different things. um, but it's patience,
Yeah, it's
you
so
know
true. So true.
so
Yeah, in a day
you
and
know
age when there's zero patience in most people, heaven forbid, it just happened to me a couple of days ago. You're at a stop sign or a red light and it turns green. And if you're not, Michael Schumacher flooring it to the horn, and I'm
Yeah,
like, excuse me, it's not even 1 second yet. Give me a chance. You're like, how did you even hit the horn that quick?
yeah,
But
yeah. They
that's
had the hand
literally,
on it, right? They're
they
waiting for
so
the
did.
light.
They so did. Oh, hilarious. But
Oh,
we're kind of coming near the end here, but just the horizon, like what do you see coming? Is there anything that excites you? You know, how do you think 2026 might look out or how pan out for us all?
I think that's I got to use the word scary. I think that's a scary
Mm.
question right now
Yep.
because a lot of people are just trying to get through the day and the week.
Yep.
With certainly I'm up in Canada here, so
Mm-hmm.
we rely a lot on the U.S. for our sales,
Yep.
and
Totally.
with the tariffs, and
Mm-hmm.
it's actually not the tariffs themselves. I'm going to say that objectively. It's
Mm-hmm.
the uncertainty that's associated with it that
Correct.
that is contracting a lot of things,
Yeah.
and then everything that associated with that. And so um, I'm certainly nervous for the next little while.
Mm.
I think that you know on the horizon, I see the exciting part is I see the young people and the and the skilled trades and everybody getting together. And I do think
Mm-hmm.
5 years from now we're going to hit that curb, and we're going to be um, and we're going to have to be working with the younger
Young
people and
people. Yeah.
upskilling them
Yep.
and figuring out how to do it, because the the aging of the skilled population, it creeps up every year.
Yep.
Every year, everybody gets
Who
older,
does?
and
Yep.
we've been forecasting it for quite a while. But I think it's going to be one of those things that instead of forecasting it, we're going to be forcing it. And I
Yeah.
think we're going to be
That's,
stepping back and
yeah.
training people and understanding. Like I was on a call today with a junior estimator, but in the
Uh-huh.
back, there was a senior guy who was
Uh-huh.
coaching him and going back and forth. And then he would
That's
step in
awesome.
and have a conversation with me. And there's going
Yeah.
to have to be more and more of that. That's what's
Totally.
exciting.
Yeah.
Like I say, my kids at 22 and 26 now getting into the workforce and what they want to
Mm-hmm.
do. And that transition
Yeah.
um, is really starting because we're going to be very soon having no boomers in the workforce, like
Yep.
just by age. And so
Totally.
I
Yeah.
think that's really exciting. I think that there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of positives coming out of technology
Mm-hmm.
and companies. And now, using my total station example from 15 years ago, you
Yeah.
can go in and measure a balustrade digitally and
Yep.
translate that into templates and give them to your glass
Totally.
fabrication.
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff is
Mental.
really interesting and exciting
Yeah. It
for
so
sure.
is. It's so cool to see that. So we're talking like 5 years from now, really pushing people in. If you could give sort of one bit of advice for maybe some teenager that's listening to this, in regards to, stepping into this industry, stepping into the trade, what's one solid piece of advice that you would give them, to either encourage them or say, run for the hills?
Well, I think it's at like literally every opportunity just to watch and listen.
Hmm.
And when it makes sense to ask questions,
Yeah.
because that's how I got into this. Like that story about the trim carpenter not hiring an
Uh-huh.
apprentice,
Yep.
that was me.
Yep.
Like that was, when I have a history of carpenters in my family, my grandfather, my uncles, and like, I stepped on a nail when my uncle was building my grandmother's house when I was 7, and maybe that little
Uh-huh.
bit of rust that got in there kind of,
Yep.
you know, but you know, and then
Uh,
and then talk to people because
mhm.
like I talked about my origin of how I got into this. It's
Uh-huh.
talking to people leaves impressions, leaving impressions leaves opportunities,
Yeah.
and then remember the gray area. Like I always say that my world is not black and white. I live
Mm-hmm.
in the gray area, and you
Yeah.
have to see other people's point of view, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to try and empathize with what they've got going on,
Yeah.
and whether that's your boss or your colleague or your subordinate,
Uh-huh.
kind of live in that gray area
Yeah.
because when you say something that's black and white, you can't take it back. It's very
Nope.
hard to take it back. But
Yeah.
if you put something out there and you massage it in the gray area, it
Mm-hmm.
gives you the opportunity to let the person you're talking to, the group you're talking to, digest it and respond to you. And then
Correct.
you can pivot and then you can defend a position that you have more confidence in. But
Mm-hmm.
if you come out with a black and white statement or a black and white opinion,
Yep.
I think you can challenge yourself unnecessarily.
Totally. 100%. Yeah. My father always gave me the advice of the toothpaste. Once you squeeze the toothpaste, you can't put it back in. And it's the
Yeah.
same with our words. And so you do not know who you're, like as a young person, who you're talking to. I can give a
Yeah.
prime example.
Yeah.
Me. I came here one time to visit. My wife's from here. Obviously, I'm from Ireland. We came to visit, and we got invited to a barbecue with people. And little did I know, in that group of people was my current boss, who
Oh,
was
wow.
sitting there with his wife. I didn't know who they were, didn't know them from Adam. I was like, hey, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Moving on, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Came back and met up with him and talked with him. And 6 months later, he offered me a job here, and I've been here over 10 years.
Wow.
So you never know who you're talking to or
Yeah.
what planting that little bit of seed can do, not right then, but could be in the future. And so, yeah, watching your words, who you're talking to, remember the toothpaste tube.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. And I remember, I think literally the first and last time I ever was kind of black and white in the statement is I was kind of at a job interview. I was talking to three individuals, and we were kind of feeling each other back out. And I kind of made a bit of a disparaging comment about engineers working on the job site
Uh-huh.
because they're book smart, but they don't know anything about the tools. And one of the gentlemen I was talking to was an engineer.
Oh, brother.
And he kind of laughed it off and he says, "Well, I'm an engineer, but I know what you mean." And so he
Uh-huh.
took it well,
Yeah.
but I was pretty close to completely putting my foot in my mouth.
Oh, it
Um,
happens so
and
much and
yeah,
we don't even
and so
realize.
it was really black and white. I should have softened it
Yeah.
and gone
Oh,
from
that's
there.
funny. That is
Yeah,
funny. Well,
yeah.
thank you so much, my friend, for being on this podcast. I've really enjoyed it, getting to know you more, hearing more of your story. It's been a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for the
Yeah, thank you.
opportunity. And
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of the Cutting Edge Installs. If you've enjoyed it, be sure to follow, subscribe, go back and listen to previous ones. Also, get caught up. If you like it, leave a quick review, share it with your crew. Keep an eye out. We launch these every second week on the Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific State Time. For more about us, Omni Cubed, go on our website. It's omnicubed.com. You can see all the tools for glazers, for stone guys, for tilers. A wide variety of tools there to keep you safe and to do your job well and efficient. And until I see you all or hear you all or you hear my dulcet tones, stay safe, be strong, and cheerio. Take care. Bye-bye.
thanks again.